one win. Would you go Miami, Notre Dame, or SC?
I'm going to say SC because of their defense. We've been riding Lincoln Riley for a while about how, he doesn't, his teams don't play any defense. We were calling him the Mike D'Antoni of college football, for crying out loud, because, Mike D'Antoni, a former head basketball coach in the National Basketball Association, his teams never played defense. And so we're looking at, for the most part, there were times they played defense, but for the most part, they didn't. And we looked at Lincoln Riley and we say, we know he knows how to develop a quarterback. We know that his teams can put up points. The question is, can they really, really play any defense? And I thought they did that last night against LSU. It was a tight game. I mean, it was 17. It was 13-10 or whatever before LSU went up 17-10 in the fourth quarter, and obviously USC ended up pulling it out. I didn't expect that. They were giving up 40 points on the regular last season, and so they got a new defensive coordinator that came over from UCLA. He got rid of his guy Grinch, who he was synonymous with in terms of that being his defensive coordinator for years, and it seems to have been a plus. The only question, Swagu and Shay, is this. Was that a product of an improved defense, or was that a product of a subpar offense on the part of LSU because of a lack of preparation on the coach of Brian Kelly? You two know the answer to that better than me, but I think that's the question right there for you guys to take on. So go ahead, Swagu, take it away.
I thought Shay was up. I'll say this, Stephen A. And the reason why my emphasis is on coaching is because for as much of a win this was for USC and the defense was markedly improved from what we've seen them in the past, these teams were evenly matched. Coaching was the difference. The penalties from LSU was a discipline issue. Usually that goes back to coaching. When you start talking about the aggressive nature in which they play, I've gotten past the point of questioning coaches if they should go for it on fourth down or should they punt it or kick a field goal. I'm past that. You make that decision in that moment based off of who you think you are. LSU is supposed to be one of the best offensive lines in the country. So you would think that you would take your group in those situations. I had two issues with that, though, as well. And Shay know what I'm talking about when it comes to the game specific. There was a third down and one where they hurried to the line of scrimmage, I guess to catch USC off schedule, and they weren't able to get a first down. It was actually a tackle in the backfield that gave a possession away. And then late in the game, before they kicked the field goal to tie the football game up at 20, they threw two passes and let the clock stop instead of running the football and having an opportunity to still kick the field goal in that situation with USC less time on the clock. So Brian Kelly talks about players not finishing and not being able to get it done. There was a lot of coaching issues with LSU, and I think that's the issue. As I talk to fans, as I talk to people, as I react to the game as a fan, and now in here as an analyst, like those are the issues where when people walk away and say, well, you've had a tremendous amount of success. We still do consider you one of the better coaches in college football. But when you look at these openers and when you start talking about LSU football, the expectation is not to have a good season or win 9 or 10 games. The expectation is for you to be in the conversation when the end comes. And these are those type of games where you look back and say, did this cost them? Now, it's a 12-team playoff, more opportunity. The season is not over and not dead. But let there be a situation where we look late in this season and LSU is vying for one of those last spots and they come back to this USC game. That emphasis will be on coaching more than the players.
You're absolutely right, Swagu. I think the thing is that you look at the SEC with those new two teams that came to that conference, Oklahoma and Texas. You still got to deal with Alabama. You still have Georgia. Ole Miss is going to be solid again, if not better than what they were last year because of their defense. But for me, I thought the biggest win was Miami going down to the Swamp. That is still the University of Florida. That is still the Swamp. And they jumped all on them baby Gators. Swagu, the baby Gators, they had no teeth, so they pulled all the teeth. They wasn't no Thompson.
It was bad.
I don't know.
It was bad.
I don't know what the hurricane came in there and cleaned up the swamp. They did a number on Swagu.
They wrapped tape around their mouth and didn't allow them to open their mouth, dog. I'm talking about whooped them.
Hey, like
none of this.
Show off a little baby Gators.
None of this. None of that. Whip.
There was none of that. Hey, Hey, you know what I'm saying? You go to Papa Do's Swagu and get Gator bites. Man, they had Gator tail, they had Gator bites, they had all Gator po' boys. They just did a number on. So I was very, very impressed. I was very impressed with the University of Miami. But also give Notre Dame some credit too. To go to Allen Field and do what they did to a ranked team in the SEC. Woo.
Yeah.
But I was the most impressed of the three teams that we're talking about. Go ahead, Swag.
Shay, to your point, Shay, like that Miami game, look, don't nobody think Florida is great thing, sliced bread. Don't nobody think that's a great football team. We know that they would have
we didn't expect the ass
But to
kicking,
your point,
we didn't expect an ass
I
kicking.
was about to say, Stephen A. I was about to say, and we all know this sitting here watching football for this long. Sometimes it's how you win and not about winning. Sometimes it's how you do the job. Mm-hmm. And the way Miami destroyed Florida, which is never supposed to happen. It's never supposed, I don't care if it's bad. It's never supposed to happen in that type of fashion. But you look at Cam Ward, you look at Mario Cristobal and the mentality up front with that football team. Miami is going to be in the playoff, bro.